I want to hear your paranormal experience that made you think, oh my gosh, this is for real.
When I was 10 years old, I fell asleep downstairs by myself, and I was asleep on this little couch right here. I had been having some really weird dreams, and I don't remember what they were about. I just knew that they were weird. And in my dream, I remember someone saying, "We've been watching you for 3 months," which strangely enough was the amount of time that the dreams had been happening. So I fully woke up, and my cat was sitting on my lap, and I just started petting her, and then I realized she was looking at something behind me, and her eyes got really wide, and she jumped off my lap and ran out of the room. So I thought, oh, that was weird. And then I hear something behind me. So there's this part in our house that always creaks, but not many people know about it. So I heard it step on this spot right here. Always creaks. So I turned around to look at the sound, looked up, and it was a huge black outline of a person.
Alafia! My name is Oshun, and on this channel, we uncover the creepiest, most unusual, haunted TikToks the internet has to offer. Do me a favor, please like, comment, and subscribe for your weekly dose of supernatural, coming to you every Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Got something creepy for you today, so let's get into this video.
Listen, I have only had one true, genuine paranormal experience in my life, and I can't deny it because my cousin and my aunt were involved. This story makes me feel so unsettled in the worst kind of way, but Jordan gets home from the airport in 2 hours. He's been gone, and you guys were kind of asking about it on live when I touched on it, and I did a story time like 7 years ago on my YouTube, so this will be the only time I'm telling it again. I am a healthy skeptic. That's what I would like to call it. I don't want to deny that anything is there, but I would prefer for it not to be because it feels safer. Me and my cousin were both into scary movies and like darker things, but my cousin was younger than me and she was a little bit more into it. Like she had like the Living Dead dolls collection and stuff like that. And though there were other circumstances and weird situations that happened in my life, this is the only one that I hold to be like validly true. But previous to the story I'm going to tell you, you need a little background information. And that is that my grandmother had a house where a wife left her husband and he himself in the house. Prior to us living there, I lived with my grandma for a long time, or I was pretty much always there growing up. But also my grandma's landlord used to summon angels in a room in the basement that my grandma would not let us go in. This is the side of my family that is a very, very unreligious. To the point at my father's funeral 5 years ago, my great grandmother stood up and cussed out the man that stood up front. I don't know what they call those guys, but he was told not to mention anything about Jesus, and he did, and my grandma flipped out and was using profanity at my father's funeral. Okay, so I'm having a sleepover at my cousin's house. She lives in a trailer, and we are talking about nightmares that we have had. I had perpetual, reoccurring, intense nightmares, 3 of them that recurred over and over and over and over for years throughout my childhood. But I had one that was different, and it took place in my grandmother's house. And at this point in my life, sitting on this couch telling my cousin about this nightmare, my grandma had sold the house. And I was like, all my nightmares have stopped since grandma sold the house. Isn't that weird? And I was telling her about this specific nightmare about walking down the steps. My grandma let us paint the wall walking down the steps into the basement, but in the nightmare all of the images were like grotesque and eerie and disgusting and genuinely like got more and more morbid as I went down the steps. We had a cat that lived in the basement because she had a bunch of offspring that would beat her up, so we would keep her safe in the basement. And in the dream, this cat is hissing at something behind the door to the room that we weren't allowed in. Whatever. My cousin starts crying as I'm telling her this nightmare. And I'm like, dude, I didn't mean to scare you. Oh my God. Like, you were into more into creepy stuff than I am. And she's 2 years younger than me. So I'm like, oh my God, I just like petrified her. And she's like shaking, visibly shaking. And she's like, no, I'm fucking freaking out because I've had the exact same dream. What? Mind you, I'm like 13. She's what, 11? We decide to draw a picture of the creature we seen in our dream before describing it to each other. Go to part 2.
This man is about to experience a doppelganger of his daughter, and it's not going to go down how you think it is. Check it out.
No, that was freezing. Yeah. Yeah, she got them out the freezer earlier for you. She put them in the fridge. Prawns don't take long to defrost anyway. Have we decided what prohibition you're gonna mess up? Ellie! Fridge! Freezing! Freeze me that way, freeze me this way. Bloody hell.
Dad, who are you talking to?
Fuck! You?
Why do you keep showing me?
Are you fucking...
I never really understood doppelgangers, because spirits and demons are unable to emulate human form. They can get it close, but it's off just enough to where you can tell. But a doppelganger, it would have to be perfect. And watching this, it looks like it's almost being projected to this man. That makes a little more sense. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Y'all want to hear a story? The story's going to take us to Mineral Wells, Texas, the location of a house that's so paranormally active that I consider it a level 3 haunting, which means super creepy. This house is known as the Hill House. It's considered one of the most haunted houses in America. Some even think it's a portal to hell. This house is located at 501 Northeast 1st Street. It was originally built in 1890 by a member of the Yeager family, one of the founding families of Mineral Wells. It was C.F. Yeager who owned the property. He was a pharmacist, and he didn't live in the home, but his sister Fanny did. Fanny Yeager Kyle was the widow of William Barclay Kyle. Fanny shared the house with her sister Susan Deborah Renfro, who was also a widow. And the sisters used the house as a makeshift hospital, which may sound odd, but not for Mineral Wells, Texas. It's known for its healing springs, which is called crazy water. It was called that because it's believed this water was able to heal mental illnesses and mental afflictions, aka the crazies. And there was some truth to this because it was discovered later that there's traces of lithium in the water, which is still used today in medications for things like depression and bipolar disorder. So there were a lot of people that came into the town trying to be healed. So little makeshift hospitals like theirs would pop up so that people could stay there and be treated with the water. The sisters continued to live there together until 1924 when Fanny died in the home. Her death certificate shows that she died from old age. Then in 1928, her sister died in the home from the flu. After this, the home was sold and turned into a brothel. By this time, the also haunted Baker Hotel had been built, just right down the street from the house, literally like a stone's throw away. And the working ladies of the home often entertained guests from the Baker. While it was a brothel, it was also a gambling den and a bootlegging operation during Prohibition. It became basically just a hub of illegal activity. And legend says that one of these working ladies gave birth to a disfigured child named Joshua. He died in 1959 at the age of 6. I can't find his records, so I don't know his cause of death. Eventually, it was sold again, and then it was turned back into a home and actually became a rental property for a while. By this time, the house was already known to be haunted. And legend says that several people besides the sisters died inside the home. Patients in the home while it was a hospital that died during a flu outbreak. Then a man in the 1950s fell from the roof while he was working on the chimney. And during the years it was a rent house, there was supposedly a 7-year-old boy who accidentally hung himself from a swing set in the yard. There was also supposedly a young girl named Madeline who was hit by a car in the street in front of the home and managed to crawl up to the home and died right here on these steps. It's also said that at some point someone fell into a well that's on the property and drowned, which interestingly enough, the wells on the property are some of the original wells of the crazy water. I guess somehow somebody fell into one. It's also said that during the years while it was a brothel, at least one of the ladies was shot by an angry, drunken customer. So a lot's gone down in this house. All the people around knew it was haunted. Well, in 2013, a couple named Phil and Kim Kirchhoff bought the home, just thinking it was a cute fixer-upper and not knowing its haunted history until after they had bought it and the neighbors started talking. And the couple became very afraid of the home. Kim wouldn't go there at all, and Phil didn't even like to go over there just to cut the grass. They did, however, begin to allow overnight tours and paranormal investigations to take place here. And so much evidence has been captured. Things have been thrown at people, doors have been slammed, and people have been bitten, scratched, had the sensation of being burned. And there's a lot of video evidence of this stuff. I personally watched a video of a guy getting scratched on the back of his neck, big bloody scratches, and a girl being yanked off of a bed. If you don't believe me, go to YouTube and look that up. It is crazy. It said there are at least 9 spirits that reside here. One is believed to be the boy Joshua, and one is called Dr. Yeager. I'm assuming for C.F. Yeager, the pharmacist, though he never lived in the home and he didn't die in there either. Another one, the absolute scariest of them all, is an entity known as Toby. And Toby isn't believed to be the spirit of someone that died. In fact, he's not considered a human spirit at all, but something much older and darker and more dangerous. He hangs out upstairs and is believed to be the source of most malicious attacks. And very loud growling has been heard from the scratcher room, aka Toby's room, where a lot of people get scratched and bitten to the point that like blood is flowing. That is terrifying. In 2017, the Kirchhoffs put the house up for sale. They didn't want nothing more to do with it. And in 2018, they actually had to drop the price on it because nobody would buy it. It was finally purchased by Sonny and Kathy Estes, who still allow overnight stays and paranormal investigations. And they put up many cameras and other equipment in the home to try to capture as much of this activity as they could. And while many research teams and paranormal investigators have come out to check this place out, they say that only about 50% of them, even the most professional of the paranormal investigators, are able to make it through the entire night. And it's apparently gained quite a reputation in this field. It has been called the most haunted house in the paranormal world. The Hill House sits at the base of East Mountain, which itself has an interesting history and might have a lot to do with the activity here. Look at this haunted AF house looking all pleasant. Around this mountain and on this property, there are a lot of springs of this crazy water, which makes me question one final allegation about this house. It seems to have a strange mental effect on people, either overwhelming them with fear and dread to the point that they can't stand it, or making others seemingly addicted to it. They can't get it out of their head. They can't wait to go back. They dream about it. Some people even say it's like they could hear the house calling them, like it's giving them the crazies. And in my personal, non-professional opinion, I kind of wonder if Toby didn't come from this mountain, or some kind of guardian of the ancient springs, or he's a crazy making demon. Who knows? I don't know, but would y'all check out the super duper duper haunted Hill House?
So this story happened in Mexico, and it actually happened to my uncle. They found my uncle dead in like the woods. Oh, okay. What happened was that he used to get drunk a lot. He would always go with my other uncles and stuff. They would walk from like spot to spot or whatever, right? They were saying that they literally saw a beautiful woman telling them to follow her. Well, like spooked them out as they literally saw that she was floating, so they dipped. So this one time I think he went by himself to go drink, to go do what he regularly does, but he never came back home. So they went looking for him, and then they said that they found him like out in the campo type shit, like just laying on the floor.
He had no injuries on him?
Nah, nothing, bro, nothing. They said that he died from regular causes, but why would he be just laying there on the floor? And they're saying that maybe he saw it again, but this time he actually followed her.
Hey guys, so this story is about my twin sister. So after my twin sister died, so me and my mom, we went up there, and my baby sister, we went up to where she was. They had a body, and we went to view the body and had made arrangements for the funeral home in Mobile to go pick her up. And so we had to go clean our apartment out. So me and my mom knew. I told my mom I was going to raise her kids, and so we had to look for her kids' birth certificate and social security card. So me and my mom looking, and my sister, we all looking while we packing up stuff, but we couldn't find it. And I was like, we was just so emotional. We was just ready to pack the stuff up and just leave. So I told my mom, don't worry about it. I'll just go to Board of Health and get another copy of birth certificate and go to Social Security office and get another copy of their Social Security card. And I was like, let's just go. So we packed everything up, came back to my apartment in Montgomery. And so I had a lot of family members came at my apartment, so I didn't feel like being bothered. So while everybody was up front, I just went in my room and shut the door. And I was just leaning against the wall. I remember sitting in the corner and just crying. And I had brought one of the suitcases where I had all her kids' stuff in my room. So I'm just sitting there crying, and just like in a state of shock. And I heard my sister's voice so loud and clear. I'm not going crazy. And she was like, hey, Kiki, get up and look in the side pocket of the suitcase. And I was like, no, I don't feel like moving. And my sister was like, okay, but I need you to get up and look in that pocket. And I was like, you did not hear me? Now, mind you, just me in the room. But I heard my sister. I said, I don't feel like getting up. I said, I just viewed your body. You gone. I said, I'm mad. You're not here anymore. I don't feel like getting up. My sister said, girl, just get your butt up and just do what I say. She started hollering at me. So I was like, wait a minute. Girl, I don't care if you're dead or not. You ain't gonna be hollering at me. So now I'm hollering like, don't you raise your voice at me. I don't care about you hollering at me. So now I'm hollering. So, and my sister, just get up and just look in the suitcase. And so, I'm hollering back, don't you holler at me. So I heard a knock on my door. So it was my kids, my cousin, auntie. They was like, you okay? Who you hollering at? I said, Mika, she up in here hollering at me like she my mama. I said, y'all don't care. She don't be raising her voice at me. So now they looking at me like, what? I said, she up in here hollering at me. She lost her doggone mind. So they was like, okay. So they shut the door and they went on back up front. And so I got mad, so I went over there to the suitcase, and so I'm going through the pockets, and guess what it was? It was the birth certificate and Social Security cards up in the side pocket of the suitcase, and I was like, oh. And I heard my sister said, next time, just do what I tell you. And I said, next time, don't you be hollering at me. And so, and I heard her chuckle, and she said, bye. And I started crying because I knew I wasn't going to hear her voice no more. But she come to me regularly in my dream. But that was the time my sister hollered at me, and she was gone.
Sister was not playing, okay? She said, if you don't just freaking listen to what I'm saying to you and stop arguing with me, same thing as you did when I was a freaking alive. I'm trying to help you take care of my babies. Listen to what I'm telling you. I thought that was pretty cool though. But yeah, she was still there to make sure that she had affairs in order for her children, and making sure that her sister was going to be able to, take care of the things that she needs to take care of, the responsibilities that she left behind. God rest her soul. But anyways, that second video, I'm convinced that the guy was either talking to a poltergeist or it was staged. And I say it, although it was very, very good effects, I say it was staged because I seen a video like that. I might have already put him in my last video if I'm not mistaken, but it was a difference. It was him. It was just the kitchen close up. He was in the kitchen and he was talking to somebody. But in that video, you can see his shirt on his shirt move by his belly as if someone or something did brush in front of him. So if it wasn't for that, I would say it was fake. But that, I don't see how that could be fake. That looked very real. That I'm talking about a different video. But this particular video, still could have been real, still could have been staged, but only because I seen him before and I seen his videos before and it was a different video. And it's like, why you got a camera up just pointing right there? So it's a lot of speculation in with this guy. But who knows? You never know. Anyway, next video.
You okay?
I'm a firm believer that if you unexpectedly died, you don't think you're dead. When I had passed away for that short amount of time, I remember crying just like that, trying to go back into my body. And wherever I was at, it stank. So I'm not saying I was in hell. I didn't see no gate to fire, but it was like a long, sandy road. And I never really believed in God, because the stuff that I was going through at the time, but I remember feeling so lost and so weird. But I remember just crying and crying because I was like, man, I didn't even get to see my son. To this day, I don't even have a son. For what reason I said that, I don't know. But I remember telling God, if I gotta stay here, then I gotta stay here. Something punched me in my sternum, pow, right back into my body. And the ambulance was like, yo, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. But what I'm getting at about this video is that that person might be crying because they don't know that they passed away yet. That's why they said if you pass in your sleep, you passed away the most peaceful way. But when you pass away unexpectedly like that, you will have to come back and live the same life and pick up where you left off till you close.
I'm fine. It's just the usual transformation as far as I'm concerned. Painful, but there we are. We all have a crosses to bear, eh?
Quite. Nearly time now. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moon rising.
You feel okay?
That's great, thank you.
This part used to fascinate me. You get used to it so quickly. I remember
Did you know that this little boy, Cameron Macaulay, lived twice? That's right, it's another reincarnation story, and this one is mind-blowing. Cameron Macaulay was born and raised in Glasgow in Scotland, but from the age of 2 years old, he would tell his family all about his previous life on the island of Barra, which is an island off the west coast of Scotland. Cameron lived with his mum, Norma, and they had lived in Glasgow all of his life, and they had never even been to Barra. Barra was 200 miles away from Glasgow. To get there, it would have taken them an hour by plane and even longer by sea. But Cameron was insistent, so he told his mother all about the white house that they used to live in, the house that overlooked the sea. He would talk about how planes used to land on the beach, and he talked about how much he loved his little black and white dog. Cameron told his mum that his dad, when he lived on the island, was a man named Shane Robertson, and he had died after being hit by a car because, in Cameron's exact words, he hadn't looked both ways. He would complain about the toilets on the island of Barra. He would say that his parents had 3 toilets and that he missed his mother and his siblings, and he would get really upset that he had to leave his mother. Eventually, he was escorted to the island by a man named Dr. Jim Tucker, who was a child psychologist. And on the way there on the plane, Cameron was so excited, he was jumping up and down going, "I'm going home, I'm going home." He told everybody that he couldn't wait to see his mother, that she had long brown hair all the way down her back, and that she had read him Bible stories. Now, in his real life, Cameron and his mother, Norma, they weren't religious people, and Norma had never exposed him to anything religious, and she never read to him from the Bible. They got to a place where they thought Cameron might be talking about, but when they got there, they realised there was no white house overlooking the bay, and there was no house owned by a Robertson family, so they were really disappointed. Until they thought, maybe we should try the other side of the island, and sure enough, they got confirmation that there was a Robertson family living on the other side of the island. They got into the car to go there. They didn't tell Cameron where they were going, but when they arrived, he jumped out of the car and immediately ran to this white house. When they went into the house, Cameron ran around, showing everybody all the rooms that he used to live in, showed everybody the 3 toilets that did indeed exist in this house, took everybody out to the garden to show them the secret garden gate that he had spoken about for years. When the researchers found the surviving members of the Robertson family, who had since moved away, they were able to get their hands on some photos of the car that the Robertson family drove and photos of the dog. And guess what? They were exactly the same as Cameron had described. Interestingly though, the researchers could find no information about this Shane Robertson person who allegedly had been hit by a car. Also interestingly, Cameron used to say to his mother and people around him, "Don't worry about dying because you just come back again." He also used to say to his mum when she would ask him how he got there, he would say, "I fell through and went into your tummy." If you want to hear more reincarnation stories, you can listen to episode number 62 of my podcast, Real Life Ghost Stories, entitled That's Where I Died, and it was released on January the 5th, 2020.
What is a creepy, unexplained childhood experience that you had?
When I was a kid, my family and I lived in a house in Texas. It was a 2-story house, and my parents were putting my little sister to sleep in her crib. Then they went on downstairs, and I continued to play with my toys at the top of the staircase. For some random reason, I decided to look at the bottom of the staircase, and I saw my sister crawling around on the ground. So I thought to myself, I wonder how she got down there. Then I remembered, my parents had just put her in the crib about 5 minutes ago. So while I stare at her, I realize that she's a little pale and she has huge black eyes, but otherwise she looks just like my sister. So naturally, I start screaming and my parents come running. I'm hysterical and my parents are asking me what's wrong. I point and I say, "Look, there's Sneha, she's at the bottom of the staircase." She was gone. Around my 18th birthday, my family and I took a trip to India. We were visiting my grandma, and one night she decided to oil and braid my hair and my sister's hair. So as my grandma was braiding my sister's hair, she looked over at my mom, and she said, Ritu, Sneha's twin would have been a girl. I look at my mom and I say, "What twin?" And my mom looks at me and says, "Swasti, I never told you this, but I miscarried Sneha's twin."
2 years ago, a video was uploaded to YouTube called The Witching Hour. The video features a family living in a house in a small town just outside of Socorro, New Mexico. The town's population is 74. Needless to say, this house is in the middle of nowhere. There are no houses or even paved streets anywhere around it, which is what makes this story absolutely horrifying. The kids in the video are clearly not actors, and this footage was filmed to help tell the story of what exactly these kids were experiencing in this house. Most of the reporting of the strange occurrences in this home come from the children, which in my opinion is the creepiest part about this. So there were 4 children living in this house, and on separate occasions, they each individually claimed to have been visited by a quote, bad guy in the middle of the night. When asked what the bad guy looked like, they said something that gave their parents chills. Each child claimed that during the night, a coyote would come to the little girl's window and speak to them. If you ask me, this sounds like a classic case of a skinwalker. One interesting detail about this coyote was that each of the children recollected that he always carried a gun, and on occasion, he would enter the house. Okay, I'm personally obsessed with this story, and I happen to know that there's a lot more to this story than we were told in this original video. How do I know that? Because I was one of those people. Okay, so in early 2020, my brother asked me to come film at his house. My family has always had a really strange relationship with the paranormal, and my brother has often found himself the subject of these strange things. I've just uploaded another one of these videos yesterday, telling another true story. There's a whole lot more that happened at this house, and let me tell you guys, this is f***ing freaky. Go ahead and check out the video. You can find me on YouTube. Let me know what you think.
If a demon walks into your room whilst you're sleeping, just do what this guy did. There was once this guy called Lester Summerall who was going to bed like any other night, when his window bursts open and a dark presence enters his room. Immediately, he knew it was a demon. He said all of a sudden the demon began to shake his bed and moved it into the middle of the room. At that moment, he jumped up and he commanded the demon to get out in the name of Jesus. Immediately, the demon left out the window. Sitting on his bed, a little bit confused at the situation, he then commanded the demon back into his room and said, "Put my bed back where you found it and close the window on the way out in Jesus' name." The demon obeyed every command he gave and put the bed right back where it was. If you know you have power over the devil in the name of Jesus, then subscribe for more.
In the building that I used to live in, several people have allegedly taken their own lives. The amount of times that my sheets would be pulled off of my body in my bed, forks thrown at me, papers flying. And it ain't just the ghost you gotta be scared of, it's the people alive too. This woman used to stand outside my window, okay? She put butter in a sock. I kid you not, this is not iCarly.
Oh my god, I need to get comfortable for this. Okay, I'm tagging Simply Nessa because I have to know which apartment building it was. Because there's 3 that come to mind. If you haven't seen any of her videos of why Hollywood is evil, I highly recommend that you do, because her stories and experiences are crazy, but to me, it's nothing shocking. I worked out of Hollywood for 9 years, like almost in the heart of Hollywood for 9 years, and an old, Hollywood acting school. We had the bungalows of Charlie Chaplin on this property. So we had a lot of weird stuff happen inside that school and in the dormitories of that school. Okay, but to preface, this is also another question for you, Simply Nessa. I have a feeling that you have abilities. I have a feeling that you have been experiencing things all your life. And by moving to Hollywood, they came into full view on speed, as if you're in an Eli Roth film. Okay, but those apartment buildings, let's get into it. I have a guess. Could one of them be located off of the corner of Hollywood and Highland? Because several years ago, I did a paranormal investigation in that building, in an apartment that 5 actors were renting, and they were experiencing some crazy activity. Now, upon my due diligence, I found out that the location of where those apartments were built actually had a funeral home that once stood there that used to cater to the wakes and funerals of old silent film stars of Hollywood. So there was this weird connection with that and the actors that were living in that apartment. My second guess is another apartment building that I used to frequently pass by every morning on my way to work. And this place always had some sort of weird chaos in front of it almost every morning. It involved a fire truck, an ambulance, and unfortunately at times a body bag. And this apartment building is notorious for having a nickname, and for the sake of TikTok, they're known as the Unalived Apartments. And there are these right here. They're called the Duet. And they were built, I want to say, in the late 30s, early 40s. And ever since its opening, they've had a lot of people unalive themselves here, predominantly old, up and coming actors and actresses. The second one, whom was the actress who portrayed Auntie M, Clara Blandick, and she was the second one to unalive herself on this property. And ever since then, it just became this common occurrence. But what was really interesting about that place too is in 2015, 2014, there was a crazy case that occurred on that location, and that was the disappearance and the murder of Adea Shobani, who was a aspiring actress who was unalived by her boyfriend, who was an aspiring actor. Then he later unalived himself outside of LA. That was a crazy case, and I believe you can hear more about that case on the first season of To Live and Die in LA podcast. But I'm taking another wild guess of where you may have lived. It's just a wild guess. And you may have been haunted by the vines of old Viners past. It's this building, 1600 Vine, but I had a friend that used to live, I think it was on the 5th floor of this building, and he had a lot of crazy stuff happen to him. But this place is like in the middle of the trifecta of everything that is going on weird in Hollywood. But you also mentioned in your video that when you moved to Hollywood, it was nothing what you expected, because it never is. Because we're always given a brand of what Hollywood is supposed to be through the lenses of film and television, and specifically the lenses of the Oscars. Every year, trying to get the hell out of Hollywood during the Oscars was a pain, because it was, I want to say, close to 48, 72 hours of chaos. It was like the Cinderella effect. Hollywood went through its makeover, and then by midnight after the Oscars were over, it went back to its old dingy self. Not to mention that the students I would work with at my acting school, a lot of the foreign exchange students, were completely shocked and perplexed of how different Hollywood was in person. Like, a lot of them thought they were going to live in the beach and take a 10-minute bike ride to their school in Hollywood, because that's what they saw on reality shows and movies. And that's why you never believe anything that you see on film and television, because in a way, Hollywood can also be an illusion, not just evil.
You're so funny. I can't wait until summer gets here so we can go outside and play. I miss Mimi. I miss you too. I miss you too. What? Who's coming? Who? You see somebody back there? Him. Who? Him. Him? Yeah. Where's he at? Is he in our house? Where? Show me. Where's he at? He's right in front of you? Who is it? A guy. Who's there, mister? What are you doing in our... Where's he at? In the dining room? Show me him. Go show me him. Give me your hand. Take me to him. Yes, him. Take me to him. Show me. Yes, him. Wait, let me... Show me. Is he right here? He's in our dining room? What are you doing in our dining room, mister? What does he look like? I bug. He's got bug eyes? What are you doing in our living room, mister? Get. You go back home. You go back wherever you came from. What's he doing? Come on, you're creeping me out. We're going upstairs. Come on. You're scaring me. We're going upstairs. You're scaring me. We're going upstairs. You are...
Cheese! What you doing? What you see? What? What you see?
Hi.
Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
What the hell just happened?
We don't even start barking for no fucking reason. Let's see. Holy shit, there's somebody out there.
There was a lot of little creepy ass videos that we just watched, okay? Especially like the last 4 or 5. Creepy. But the very first video where the person walked up talking about, you okay, they heard crying. They didn't necessarily show like anybody in the car or outside of the car. And the car didn't look that messed up to just assume someone passed away, from the car accident. So I don't know what that really might have been, but the guy who was telling his story was interesting. It was interesting, but we don't know why that person was caught was crying. But that was a deep, like, intense cry. Like when you have those kind of cries, something really bad is going on or has happened. But the video of the live werewolf, I don't know, bruh. I'm calling cap because special effects, for real. And then every time he put his head down and come back up, now it's like something's going on. They didn't really show anything like transforming, like, oh my goodness. And then shit, Michael Jackson did it the best. And that was back in the 80s, so I call cap. But it was cool. It was a decent, video, if you say. But the reincarnation story, that actually should have been in my last video, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. It was based on all kids who remember their past lives and like reincarnation and stuff like that. But his story, that was a very interesting story also. And then I just want to go visit Hollywood. I just want to visit one good time just for the haunted shit because I like spooky stuff. So I wouldn't be going for like no stars or nothing like that. I would go just to do my own little documentation of weird, spooky, creepy shit that goes on in Hollywood. But anyway, next video.
This next video shows a father who's recording his son playing a video game when something very unsettling is caught on tape. The father in question is known as Ernesto Espinoza, and he's been uploading videos of his family on his YouTube channel. Although each video shows nothing more than a father who's enjoying the time he spends with his family, two videos in particular stand out from the rest. Unlike the other videos, these two have shown something that has caused concern among viewers of his content. The first video was posted not too long ago, and what's captured in it is pretty creepy. Be sure to look closely, or you'll miss it.
Ya suyo, ya la tienen ahí. Ya la tienen ganada. Eso. Qué pro. ¿No se oye la canción?
In case you missed it, if you look closely at the pile of toys in the corner, a baby doll can be seen moving on its own. Ernesto hadn't noticed this until viewers had pointed this out. Now, although this video has convinced most people that Ernesto's family is being haunted by something, it's the second video that has caused the most concern. At the start of the clip, we can see his daughter dancing around in what appears to be the living room, when all of a sudden, something truly frightening is caught in the background. Take a look. As the little girl dances around the room, a dark figure passes by quickly inside another room before the door shuts on its own. Like the video before, viewers have suggested to Ernesto that he and his family should leave the house immediately. Although he appreciates the concern, it seems that he won't be leaving anytime soon, given that there haven't been any more strange occurrences in his home. But until something like this happens again, it seems that Ernesto and his family will continue to carry on with their lives. The question still remains though, had something paranormal been caught on camera, or was something else caught instead?
Remember how I be telling y'all, if you hear somebody knocking on your door or you hear somebody's voice but no one is home, never open the door? Scary story time. And this story this time is actually not my dad's story, it's my friend's story. She's also Haitian and she wanted to share her story with you guys. So when her family was supposed to come to this country, coming from Haiti, they kept it.
What paranormal experience turning from a skeptic to a...
Okay, so back in 2005, I was 13 at the time. My oldest sister ended up getting very sick. Now, she has sickle cell anemia, so SS type. And so if you're familiar with that, you know that it's the worst type. And so she was always sick, in and out of the hospital. She used to beg my mother not to take her to Grady Hospital, that is downtown Atlanta, Georgia. And so this particular time, she had to have a gallbladder, her spleen removed, she needed a blood transfusion, and something else. And you know, Grady's one of the biggest hospitals for surgery, and so that's where they ended up sending her to have the surgery. And so my mother, after the surgery was done, my mother wanted us to go and see her, and so we all ended up going down there. So my sister was good or whatever. We were cool talking. Everything was fine. Until my sister kind of like looked off in the corner behind where we were sitting. And so my mother's like, Chantel, what are you looking at? And she's like, y'all don't see that girl in the corner. And my mom's like, no, we don't see no girl in the corner. What does she look like? And so my sister's like, she's a girl and she's holding a teddy bear and she's telling me to come play with her. And so my mom is like, tell her no. And so my sister looks back at the corner and she tells the girl no or whatever. The next thing you know, my sister jumps back. And so my mom's like, what? My mom jumped up like, what? And she was like, the girl's face turned into like a half burnt face. And so immediately my mom started praying. And so me and my little sister and my other sister looking around like, what's going on? And so while my mom was praying, we all noticed that my sister was pressing the button on the side of her bed, like basically making her bed rise up in the air. And my mom ended up opening her eyes and looking, and that's when we all seen something like maybe a hand or something going up the side of my sister's bed, up under the covers, and she was basically raising her bed so that the hand couldn't touch her. You have to like for part 2.
He wanted to experience something, and now,
oh no, honey, all about playing in the cemetery and with a spirit box and looking and finding spirits and then trying to find them again. But she's a what she say, she's a paranormal investigator, so that's her life. She's used to it, but it's a no for me. Okay, no, I'm a pass on that. She the psychic even was telling her exactly like what was going on. Like, nope, thank you. And then, Haitians, they're no joke. I know a few, especially since I moved to Florida. Yes, honey. But I could only imagine, like, what else that family probably went through, like, once they even made it to America. Like, I wonder what else weird, crazy, scary stuff they might have went through. And then the girl who was talking about Grady Hospital in Atlanta, I gotta let my mother know because that's where she lives. But that's creepy. She trying to let y'all know, like, nigga, something touching me. I'm trying to get away from what is under the bed, okay? But anyway, next video.
This family from Mexico was able to record this terrifying video of this girl after she was acting extremely strange. This was after the family did some research. They found out the girl was playing the Ouija board. Here is the video. Pay close attention.
Simón, le bajas al baño, ¿Le bajas? Se tapó en el baño. Que si no tienes güey, ya te tardaste chido. ¿Cómo vas a seguir Ay.
time. And yes, I'm driving because this mess just happened this morning, and I am still trying to process what the heck I just saw. My husband, he goes to work earlier than myself, and most of the time I work from home anyway, but I'm going to the office today. But my husband, he is normally out the house at 5:30, but this morning he forgot his wallet, so he returned at 6 o'clock, 6:15. And I spoke to him. I went in the bathroom with him and talked to him because I was trying to figure out why he was there. He gave me his kiss and he left. I got back in the bed because I still had an hour before I needed to be up. I get back in the bed. Soon as I doze off, I feel a kiss on the forehead the exact same way that my husband gives me a kiss every single day before he goes to work. I wake up. It's my husband. And he's walking away going to the bathroom. And I'm like, hey, you're back again? But he didn't answer me. And I'm like, I might as well get up anyway because I need to get dressed. But he doesn't respond to me, and he just keeps walking to the bathroom. And it's really, really odd for him to do something like that. So, of course, I get annoyed. And I follow him into the bathroom. But when I get into the bathroom, there is no husband there. And my mind is freaking blown. I just saw a doppelganger, or whatever the heck you want to call it. But that was definitely supposed to be my husband. It gave me a kiss. I felt it. And I saw the back of him. He wore the same uniform that my husband wears to work. And he walked into the bathroom. I followed, but when I got into the bathroom, there was no one there. It was strange because my closet light was on, and we're anal about not leaving lights on. The closet light was on. And I am wondering, because these past few nights, I saw the face of whatever that thing was. It was just a face. I can't describe what the face looked like. It just was a floating face that I saw the other night. But over the past couple nights, I keep seeing this, I don't know if it's an orb, a blob, a puff of smoke. I don't know what it is, because it's something that in this world I really can't describe. And the closest thing I can describe it to is like a cloud of smoke moving, but it's more liquid-like than a cloud. But it's like, I see it in the room, and it's really trying to form a shape. And I have seen it almost outside of the night that I seen the twerking person in the corner and the face. That was the only night I didn't see that thing trying to form. And I have seen that same thing over the years in different forms and different colors. But this one that I've seen lately has been like a grayish shape, but it stands out in the dark. It could be pitch black in a room in that shape or form. And it's enough that I'm asleep and it gets so close to me that it's very startling. Like, I wake up and I scream, and my husband has to, he reminds me that he's in the room and everything's okay. And I'll go back to sleep. I'll throw the cover over my head like I'm a little kid, because I just want to sleep. Like, they bug me so much in the middle of the night. But I am wondering if that cloud of smoke was whatever this thing that I saw that was not my husband trying to form. Anyway, that's another paranormal moment. That's some recent stuff. It's so crazy that ever since I came back from visiting my mom when my cousin had that seizure, that the spiritual world has been so active around me since then. I have always seen things, but there is only one other time in my life, back in the year of 2012 to 2013, those 2 years were this heavy with the activity, where I'm not getting a night's rest without seeing something. And right now it's back. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to cleanse the house again. But I am not the ghost whisperer. I'm tired. I just want some sleep. But now apparently they're not just letting me sleep. They're showing up during the daytime. And you have to excuse me, I'm just rambling because this literally just happened less than an hour ago. So my mind is just blown. And so, yeah, what are your thoughts on what this thing is that I saw? Let me know in the comments.
Doppelganger, something evil, a little bit of both. What the hell was that? And sounds like she got a lot of little weird, creepy stuff going on in her life. She might need a spiritual cleansing. Her home might need a spiritual cleansing. But yeah, that's not normal. None of that stuff is like hex to the nah. But have you ever seen your doppelganger? Do you know what a doppelganger is? I surely do got a video coming out. Actually, after this one, actually. So be aware, make sure you check it out. And then don't play with Ouija boards. Whatever you do, don't play with fucking Ouija boards. Just say no. If you value your life, stay away. Point blank, period. But yeah, make sure you check out this next video. It will be specifically about doppelgangers. So you made it to the end of this one. Thank you for being here with me. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Catch me every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I appreciate your time. I appreciate my new subscribers. I appreciate my commenters. Keep it coming, keep it coming. Get me in the algorithm, and I will catch you next time. I'm out.